Alright, I'm genuinely convinced at this point everybody's just scared of Mike Perry. We all saw what Mike Perry did to Nate Diaz, and I literally called it word for word, round 2, doctor stoppage. Nate had too much scar tissue. Nate literally, allegedly, went poopy potty on himself, according to MMA Guru and some other people, and that's why, allegedly, the doctor stoppage was called, not because of the massive gash on his face, but alright, don't even worry about it. But I'm honestly just convinced at this point that the whole MMA world at 170 pounds is genuinely terrified of Mike Perry. Because after we just saw Mike Perry do an absolute masterclass where I was in my TikTok comments arguing with everybody, YouTube comments arguing, saying, no, Mike Perry's going to win this. Nate Diaz has more scar tissue than I've ever seen in my life. He's kind of slight. He's kind of 40. Like, you know what I mean? Nate Diaz is fighting a dude called the King of Violence, a bare knuckle fighting champion. Or like, who beat up Eddie out. Like, come on. Like, use your brains and think. And Dustin Poirier on the UFC's Paramount YouTube channel, I forget even what like their weekly show is called. It's with George Masvidal, Dean Thomas, Dustin Poirier, and Chris Weidman. And Dustin jumps out of his skin, jumps out of his body to call out Nate Diaz, a withered, half-dragged up corpse that was just thrashed around by the King of Violence at 170 pounds. And Dustin, who is a retired fighter, okay, says, my invitation is still out there. I will knock Nate Diaz completely out. Mike Perry allegedly made him go poopy potty on himself, bro. Alright, I don't really think he could top that. And I'm just a little confused because why are we calling out the loser of a fight? Like, what kind of hype is that? You're calling out the loser of the fight? You're not calling out the dude who went out there and demolished him, who looked absolutely fantastic. Gas tank at 1,000,000, violence. He was dialed. I knew he was dialed as soon as he walked through the, walked down like the little ramp that they had. All right, you're not calling him out? Nothing? Now, one fighter actually did call out Mike Perry, and it was Paulo Costa. He says, listen, I have 3 options right now. I could fight at 185 for the Strickland rematch. I could fight at heavyweight with Hokit. Or I can ask the UFC to release me, and I can go fight Mike Perry on the Netflix card. Now, alright. Mike Perry versus Paulo Costa. That is, like, I'm genuinely becoming speechless thinking about the levels of violence. Just hype, press conference, face-off, like that little face-to-face they did with Nate Diaz and Mike Perry. How boring was that? You know how good it would be for Paulo Costa and Mike Perry? But we know Paulo Costa's a troll, so this is honestly probably just a figment of his imagination, and my light just keeps changing colors every 5 minutes, 5 seconds. It's just defective. Okay, shout out to Temu, by the way. And look, if we are sitting here and looking at the rankings for 170 pounds in the UFC, right? Because Mike Perry weighed in at 169 pounds, I believe. Mike Perry demolishes a lot of these guys. A lot of these dudes. I mean, obviously, barring Islam Makhachev, Carlos Prates is something I'm a little scared about. Same with Michael Morales, just because of the height. You know what I mean? But I believe in Mike Perry. Mike Perry is one of those dudes that I would genuinely want to have in my back in an alleyway. Okay, at the club. All right, anywhere in the Bronx. Okay, I would want Mike Perry by my side anytime. As a Jack Della Maddalena fan, I genuinely think Mike Perry W keys and walks right forward. Same with Leon, same with Kamaru, same with Joaquin, same with Bofim, same with Mal. Like, I honestly genuinely think Mike Perry might be a top 5 welterweight, even inside of the UFC. All right, and it's just concerning and just odd that we haven't even heard Mike Perry say he's negotiated with the UFC or anything. I could be wrong, but nothing. Do you know the numbers Mike Perry pulls? Do you realize that Mike Perry is the face of a whole other organization? He was the whole reason I honestly tapped into that Netflix card. Mike Perry is the GOAT. The GOAT. I don't care how many videos come out of him squabbling up 60-year-old dudes at the bar. Okay? I really don't care. Honestly, keep them coming. It adds to the lore. But I'm genuinely telling you, not having Mike Perry in the UFC, and I understand, I get it, I know he was cut, he really wasn't that good, but he has found his second wind. His career is being resurged right at this moment. Let's not forget the face-off he did with him and Conor McGregor. Now, yeah, Conor's coming back to fight Max Holloway, and this was said on the Ariel Helwani show when Ariel was interviewing Mike Perry. He said, look, I wouldn't be surprised if we get Mike Perry versus Conor McGregor in the UFC in 2027, maybe 2028. And thinking about it, why not? Why not? Why not? Why not? And then that would completely boost Mike Perry's superstardom, and he would just run it up in the UFC until he runs into like a full-on grappler. But stand-up was pretty good. He kind of engaged in Nate's guard a little bit during that fight. But I'm genuinely serious when I say I think a lot of these dudes in the UFC, a lot of these retired fighters, a lot of these dudes are scared of Mike Perry. And honestly, they should be. They genuinely should be. Okay, they should be. But I don't understand why my boy's not getting the shine he deserves. Okay, I'm not going to say Dustin Poirier is the shine he deserves, you know what I mean? But that would be a banger fight. Even though Dustin's a 155er, that would be a banging fight. Absolutely fantastic. But no, you call out the dude who went poopy potty on himself. Okay, like, really? That doesn't seem very Ultimate Fighter to me. Alright? Not at all, to be honest with you. And, look, we know Paulo Costa is now at 205 pounds. And yes, Paulo Costa mogs Mike Perry brutally. But let's not forget Paulo Costa getting walked down by Sean Strickland. And I'm not saying Sean Strickland is no flunky, you know what I mean? Sean Strickland versus Mike Perry sounds like a fantastic fight, and I'm obviously leaning Sean, just, you know, off the 1-2 and the teep, and Mike Perry just brawls. But this would be great. I'm down for whatever. I just want to see Mike Perry get more shine. All right, his biggest fight being him versus Nate Diaz at 40-something years old was a travesty to me. And it was great. It was great. Knockout. Mike Perry KO TKO was plus 200. Okay, fantastic. Absolutely beautiful. Please do that again. All right? But he deserves better, bro. My boy deserves more. Okay? I don't understand why he's not getting. I mean, I know obviously he just did. He got one of the biggest cards in MMA history, the Netflix card. But I just mean, like, in competition-wise. You know what I mean? We're seeing Mike Perry can crush. And everybody's calling him out. You know, that little dude on the Netflix card was calling Mike Perry out. Everybody wants a shot at Mike Perry. Besides the big companies. I'm just talking about the UFC. Besides the UFC. Now, hey, I'm cool if Mike Perry stays at the Netflix, the MVP thing, and runs up a bag, okay? Because the numbers that the MVP card just pulled were dropped today, and they were absolutely fantastic. I'm pretty sure they were in the millions, all right? And you could definitely make a crazy bag over there, Mike, for sure. But what opponents they're going to get you? Probably all can'ts, all right? And you're just going to be can crushing. We're also going to be making, you know what? This is probably the best ending for Mike Perry anyway. Can crushing, making millions and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, kicking it, chilling. He was in no danger in that Nate Diaz fight. Absolutely not. Sure, he got a little cut from the jab, but did you see the elbows? Did you see the viciousness? Did you see Nate Diaz go poopy potty in his pants? Like, comment, subscribe.